All right, baby, I'm real excited where we're going this time.
We are going almost into our backyard.
I'm going to take you to where the largest building in Kentucky is.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm also going to take you to where the largest baseball bat is.
Now that makes sense.
Yep. And we're going to also take you to the oldest operating Mississippi-style steamboat.
Ooh, and we've been on that boat.
There's a lot to talk about in this place, and it's right down in our backyard. Where are we taking everybody?
Yes, it is. We're going to Louisville, Kentucky.
Put your seatbelts on.
Because here we go.
Did you know that 46 million Americans plan to take an RV trip in the next 12 months? 90% of recreational vehicle owners take 3 or more mini vacations every year. Welcome to the RV Destinations Podcast. If it's RV travel, we're talking about it. From campgrounds to museums to national and state parks, kayaking and hiking opportunities. One of the most fun and pleasurable things you can do is just hit the road. So be ready to be inspired. Welcome in to the RV Destinations Podcast. Now your host, President Randy Beheimer and Editor-in-Chief, Caly Beheimer.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the RV Destinations Podcast. We're here and we're very excited to be here. We got a special guest today, and we're going to be talking about a place that's in our backyard.
Yes. And, and we got to talk about how it's pronounced because we know how to pronounce it.
We do.
We do.
But most people don't.
No,
so
they
we're going
don't.
to talk about that.
Yes.
But why don't we introduce our guest, and then we'll get on to how do you pronounce
town. So we have with us Carrie Hanrahan. Hi, Carrie. How are you?
I am great, guys. It's been a busy time of year for all of us, but things are great. I can't wait to talk about Louisville.
I know. We're excited. And for everybody watching us, if I'm going to one angle and looking down, it's because I can see Carrie on Randy's laptop over here.
Well, don't look at her.
I have to look at her.
Look straight at the camera. Be professional.
That's not creepy.
That is creepy.
It is creepy. And then Gus the cat is with us.
What is he doing over there?
He's watching the dog next door. We have this golden retriever next door named Sammy. And Sammy is the coolest, sweetest little thing ever. So he's out there looking at Sammy.
I actually renamed him Chester while you were gone today because I felt like that was a better name than Gus.
No, Gus is awesome.
All right. Well, so today we're talking about, it's not Louisville.
Nope. And it's not Louisville.
It is Louisville.
Louisville.
So if you go there and you say Louisville, they're going to know you're an out-of-towner,
They'll be like,
right?
oh, it's cute. You're not from here, are you?
Yeah, Louisville.
So you put a whole bunch of cotton balls in your mouth, and then you go, Louisville.
Well, we're excited because, as most of you listeners know, that this is our backyard, literally. Yeah. It's about an hour south of us?
Yeah, about an hour to the north side of Louisville.
So we're in the middle between, not quite the middle, we're more towards Cincinnati than Louisville. Louisville is about an hour and 10 minutes. Cincinnati is about 45 minutes, somewhere around there. So we get to enjoy both cities, but today we're going to focus on Louisville.
Which I'm excited because, sadly, we've not done a whole lot there. At least I haven't over the years.
I have.
I have not. I'm interested to hear of this list how much of it you have done because I have a feeling you've not.
Yep, there's probably quite a bit. But so Carrie, you've got a daughter or son that lives in the area. Is that correct?
I have a son who lives in Louisville. He and his wife have been there 2 or 3 years now, 2 years, I think. And I had not been to Louisville before. And after the kids moved there and we go and explore, I've fallen in love with Louisville. It is an incredible city. There's tons of things to do. And I don't feel like I'm in a huge city when I'm in Louisville. Right. I think that's what I love about it is, it's a very calming place. I know that sounds kind of like a strange thing to say, but I feel like I'm in a community, wherever you go. I think what's cool about Louisville is that, it's a very old city, obviously, but it's broken up into all these different neighborhoods. Yep. Yeah. And each neighborhood is unique. I love the fact of where my son lives. He lives in a neighborhood called Butchertown. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard that, I went, huh? But once I understood, about the meat packing industry and everything that was part of Louisville there, that's the area that he lives in that's historic. But there's so many neighborhoods, and each one of them is unique and has something really cool about it. And so it's been a fun place to explore.
That's awesome. And it seems like, so there was one time you were coming here to Louisville and we were gone.
Yeah.
And now we're coming out to your neck of the woods.
Yep. And you're going to be gone.
And you're going to be gone. So we have not got to meet Carrie face to face. She's been working with us for many years now, or at least a couple years anyway. And we've just been passing by each other. Literally.
Maybe we should just meet somewhere in the middle of the country.
Yep.
During one of our travels.
Right.
We can do that.
Right. Well, we're excited to talk about Louisville because it does seem like home to us. And we ready to start off some fun facts?
Yeah, I want to hear about this, especially the whole building thing. That's interesting.
So this is all brought to you by artificial intelligence.
AI.
AI brought me all.
AI.
So it actually, you know what? I hate to say it. It's so helpful and so quick because I put in Louisville fun facts, which is that's what I do with every podcast. And normally I'll go to a website and look at it, but this time 10 or 15 things popped up on Google AI. They went and pulled it out for me and did all the work for me. So I think it's pretty cool. So,
until they take over the world and we're living in the movie by Will Smith that he was in, I, Robot, then it's not so fun anymore.
We would just have Will Smith come take our robot.
Okay. Well, he has like a prosthetic arm in that movie and he can just take it all out.
All right. So fun fact number 1, Louisville Mega Caverns, a former limestone mine that is now Kentucky's largest building.
They call it
has zip line, bicycle park, and storage for yachts and documents.
How can you call a cave a building?
Because it was built. It was carved out. It's man-made. It was an old mine, so they call it a building.
I still feel like that's stretching it. Well, it wasn't like it was ground up. It was like, oh, look at this hole. I'm going to make it larger and now call it a building.
Hey, artificial intelligence does not lie.
Yes, they do.
But this is massive because we considered putting our motorhome down there.
Yep.
I mean, this is a massive cavern. It's like 70 degrees year round or 60 something year round.
I think it's 68 or 67 or something like that year round.
And they store RVs, boats,
yachts.
You got zip lining in there and all kinds of things. Did that make the top 10?
It did not.
Okay. Well, so I can talk a little bit more.
It's cool at Christmas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you can drive through it.
Thing at Christmas time. It was super cool.
Yeah. And the only complaint I've heard from people as far as storing their stuff there is it does get dusty.
Very dusty.
So, but anyway, so the next one, the world's largest baseball bats right there in downtown Louisville. That's right. The big bat is 120 foot tall, and we're going to probably talk a little bit more about this. So I'm not going to go in. 68,000-pound baseball bat that leans against the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory, which, again, we're going to talk about in the top 10, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but that's a big damn bat. 68,000-pound bat. You're not going to swing that one. So
you could take out some serious kneecaps with that bat.
That's right. That's right. So the Bella of Louisville, which we've been on, is the oldest operating Mississippi-style steamboat in the world. Built in 1914, the oldest one in the world.
Wow, and we've been on that.
We took some clients out on there one time.
We did, and it's a really cool thing. So if you are in the Louisville area, you can have dinner on there, you can have cocktails on there, and it's fun. It's a fun little thing to do. All
right, so I'm going to ask these next 2 questions. I think Caly might get these right.
Okay. Well, because I see the answers.
Well, don't look at the answers. You cheat. Okay, so what's Louisville's official cocktail?
I'll let Carrie go with that.
Do you know what the official cocktail of Louisville is, Carrie?
I hope it's a mint julep.
Actually, that is really good. Mint julep
close.
For the Derby, but that's not
it's old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned,
yes.
That's right. That is old. What is that? You've had those before. It's bourbon and
it's
something.
Like the sugar cubes, because that's what AJ drinks. He drinks old-fashioned.
Right, but it's
so
a couple. It's bourbon and a couple things mixed in there. I'm not sure
I'm
what.
not sure. Do you know what it is, Carrie?
And see, actually, it's a Wisconsin drink. So.
Oh, really?
Really?
Say I do know that one, but yes, as I say, it's a very actually it's kind of a simple drink in the sense of, but like you said, it's bourbon with like a 7-Up and little sugar cubes and usually some orange bitters.
Oh, okay. Oh, that does sound tasty.
Well, it's a Kentucky native. No other state can have bourbon except Kentucky. So Wisconsin did not make this drink. I'm just sorry to tell you.
Drink, but it's a famous drink in Wisconsin too.
Yep. No, I'm kidding. But okay, so the next one. So you got that. It was your second guess. We won't hold that against you. So let's see if you know that. This one's a little bit more difficult. So what is Louisville's signature dish?
Like food dish.
Food dish.
The hot brown.
Oh, she got it.
She did.
The hot brown. That is correct. A hot brown is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's basically a piece of bread with gravy on it, isn't it?
It's an open-faced turkey sandwich.
Turkey. That's
turkey.
it.
Okay.
But it has gravy over top of it usually.
And bacon.
And bacon, right.
Yep.
They serve it pretty much all over Louisville and actually Kentucky. I've never had it.
I haven't either. I'm not much of an open-faced sandwich kind of gal.
Did you eat one when you were here, Carrie?
I have not had one, but I've heard all about them. I was looking at the pictures this morning. I'm like, oh man, they do actually look really good.
Yep.
So
they look like they might stick to our ribs, so that's why I don't eat. That's why I don't eat them. But lots of calories. All right, so moving on. So Louisville's got a rich history in bourbon, of course. There's many distilleries. There's the Bourbon Trail and a collection of bars and restaurants that specialize in bourbon. We all knew that.
Yep.
I think all our listeners probably knew that. The Bourbon Trail is pretty famous. Louisville got its name from King Louis XVI of France for his support of the American colonies during the Revolutionary War. So, again, Louisville came from King Louis. What else we got here? We got Louisville disco balls. This is going to blow my mind. 90% of the disco balls that are made in the United States are produced in Louisville.
What? Right. What a weird, interesting fun fact.
Bo, will you put us up a disco ball here right now? Come on. I know you can find one. All right, we got to have a disco ball there. So 90% in the United States are made right here in Louisville. So if you want to go get one, that explains why they're all over the place. We can buy them. All right, so Louisville's Victorian homes, one of the largest collections in the country.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of Victorian homes in Louisville.
Okay, I can see that, having driven around the city.
Yep, for sure. I mean, it didn't say it's the biggest, but it says one of the biggest. So Louisville's cast iron building, the largest collection outside of New York Soho district. So cast iron buildings. So anyway.
Okay. Like, what do you mean cast iron buildings? I mean, I know you're reading it off of AI. Yeah. AI, you should have expounded upon.
Yeah, so
now I'm like a cast iron building. They don't mean flat iron, right?
Well, that's kind of what I envisioned, but
I
don't know.
AI got it wrong. Let's see.
I don't think I got it wrong. I just don't think we're understanding what they're telling us. All right, so I'll move on. You look it up. So Louisville's hometown heroes are, of course, Muhammad Ali, which we'll probably talk about, I'm assuming. Yes. If not, we will by the end of the show. Diane Sawyer. I didn't know that. Diane Sawyer is from Louisville. And, of course, my favorite, Jennifer Lawrence, is from the area. And then Hunter S. I don't know who Hunter S. is. Any idea?
No, I don't.
Do you, Carrie? Nope. Hunter S? Not sure.
And isn't that little... forgive me for saying little.
The boy from Hunger Games is from there as well.
Mm-hmm, he's from Louisville.
And he was in the
Josh
Bridge
Hutcherson.
to Taberneth. Yes.
Yes,
he's from this area as well. So, and then the last thing, Louisville's invention. We can't skip. What did Louisville invent? And it's not the disco ball, but it's the cheeseburger and high five. They say. Really? Well, that's
how do you invent and high five?
I don't know. Like maybe the sports team?
I don't believe AI anymore. Okay. And the only thing I can find, like when I Google cast iron buildings, it just shows several old buildings in Louisville that I'm assuming have cast iron features on the front of them. It's kind of what it seems to look like.
Yep.
So,
don't know.
Yep. That's all I came up with. You've spent a lot of money making sure your RV is geared up to take you on open road adventures. But what about when you aren't using your RV and need to store it? RVers know storing your RV in the elements can dry rot tires, break down seals, and damage that beautiful shine on your paint. You want the best protection for your RV while you aren't on the road, and there is no better solution than your own personalized RV storage building by Morton Buildings. Morton is an industry leader in design and construction of RV garages, as well as other recreational and hobby buildings. This means that the design, function, and aesthetics are perfect for your needs and space. So while you aren't in your RV trekking across the country, you'll be happy knowing that your RV is safe, secure, and protected from harsh elements inside a beautiful RV garage by Morton Buildings. With over 100 construction centers throughout the country, getting started on your new RV garage is a breeze. Quite simply, Morton RV storage buildings are built stronger, last longer, and look better. Visit mortonbuildings.com for more information and start planning today.
Well, that's all I've got. So
right.
That is Louisville, Kentucky. Now you want to jump into some fun things for people to do when they're passing through or stopping in Louisville, Kentucky. And we got to mention the Bourbon Trail. You got to do that.
Patience, Mufasa.
Oh,
Patience.
okay. I'm sorry. Is it on here? We're ruining it.
Right. See, I have highlighted mine. I'm a good little podcaster here, and Randy looks at his and like, what's on the list? It's okay, though. I love you, babe. I love you. So we're going to start at number 10, which is the 21C Museum Hotel. This sounds really interesting, especially the bathroom. So I want to hear all about the bathrooms, but what else can you find here at this museum hotel?
Yeah, downtown with the area called the Whiskey Museum Row, there's tons of things in this vicinity that are walkable. So that it's an area that I really enjoy going to because you can get to so many different things without having to get in your car. So this museum, though, hotel is super cool. It's an art museum in a 91-room boutique hotel.
Oh, neat.
So, and it's not the only one. I know there's other ones in the country. I'm not sure how many there are. This is the only one I've ever been in. So you'll know you're there because in the very front of it, there's this double-sized David statue replica by Michelangelo. So you can it's right in front. So you know you're there when you see it. There's also some really cool little red penguin statues kind of around the building too. So those are kind of a famous thing for the hotel. But what's really cool about this place is, one, it's free. You can walk in, walk around. They have exhibit areas, and it's all really contemporary art. So that's, what's kind of a neat area in that regard, that you're kind of getting a feel for, 21st century type of things. Mm-hmm. I was totally fascinated by what I'm going to say is not a piece of art, but it's an installation. So it's called Cloud Rings. And I saw it on my way of going to the bathroom. There is a space between two of the buildings outside. And so in this installation, it's an outside installation where it just poofs up like fog puffs or puffs of smoke. So it looks like little clouds going up. And they go between the building. And I, for some reason, was totally fascinated by it. Stood there for a long time watching all these little puffs go up in the air. But then there's those bathrooms you were talking about, which have, I called them two-way mirrors. They may be one-way mirrors. I don't know which way. I guess I'm looking at the fact that I'm looking in a mirror from the outside, but the people in the bathroom are looking through that same mirror and can see everybody in the hallway.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of a wild, just again, kind of a weird sensation of being in the bathroom, but everybody else is in there with you.
Yes.
So, that's kind of wild. But in the rest of the place, you literally can wander around the exhibition areas, which there's 9,000 square feet. So it's not like it's not a large space. It really is a museum. So it's really enjoyable. The installations are some permanent, some that change. If you actually stay in the boutique hotel, I know that there's a room or two that actually has like some installations of its own in it. So you get that experience even as a guest. So I really enjoyed going there. It just really, was something out of the ordinary and very different. And I guess if you see these in any other cities also, I would definitely go in and explore.
That's really cool. Yeah, I've seen those red penguins in downtown Louisville on that building, not realizing that that's what that was. And now that I've Googled pictures, I'm like, oh, okay, I see those little red penguins now. And I Googled the cloud rings, which is really neat. You're right. It's like these 3 machines that are making these little rings of smoke puff up into the air. So, yeah, it's very cool. Yep, I could see myself sitting there too, like, ooh, look, there goes another one. And another one.
Yep.
Now, did you stay there when you were in Louisville, or did you stay at an RV park?
I actually stayed at my son's house.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay. So neither.
I did go in there that time. I've taken my camper through there, but have just stayed at his place. So that was
Gotcha.
just an exploration, just going down, knowing I had heard of it, so it was a place I had wanted to visit.
Okay, so you it's not like you just wandered in there. You knew that it existed. You knew that you wanted to go in and see it. Very cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. All right, moving on to number 9.
Okay, so number 9 actually sounds really neat, especially when you hear who made this. So the Louisville Park System. So the same guy who designed Central Park designs like a park system in Louisville. Is that correct? And then obviously you can go and visit these parks.
Yeah. Frederick Law Olmsted, very famous person for doing these parks. Yes, he did Central Park. For me, it's very cool because I'm also very close to Biltmore in Asheville, and he did all the grounds at Biltmore. So I've really kind of I feel like I've gotten to know Mr. Olmsted just through a variety of things. But yeah, so he was commissioned way back in 1891.
Oh, wow.
To start creating kind of like a park system for the city. And it started off of just being these 3 parks. It was Cherokee, Iroquois, and the Shawnee. 3 different parks kind of on the exterior of town, but connected by 15 miles of parkways. So Louisville really was forward thinking in trying to connect their communities and, make it a place that people wanted to come to, enjoy their spaces, but make it so that you could get to everything easily. So that was really kind of cool. But then they kind of discovered along the way that they also wanted the communities to be able to be more interconnected. So they wanted some smaller parks and everything added to all of this. So it ended up with a total of 18 parks within the region. And it actually is part of it's a National Historic Site, the whole system.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It really is. And it's, I've been to numerous of the parks. There's a huge variety. Some are very nature bound. So if you're a bird watcher or a hiker or anything like that, there's tons of that to do. But then there's also the more local where, they have like the splash pads for the little kids and tennis courts and all kinds of different things like that. So I really would say explore them all because, like in a couple of them, they have some beautiful stone structures and monuments, and it's not just a park. There's lots of other things there too. And then like in I gotta look what it is. I think it's Central Park. They do in the summertime. They do a Shakespeare in the Park festival, so you can go watch different plays throughout the summer. So there's always something going on within that park system, and it's just. Really, I've never seen anything quite like it in a city that has so many different outdoor spaces.
That's really cool. So I'm looking at this in the notes that you'd sent over to me. So the interconnecting parkway. So is it literally you could access one park to the next park and not have to? Would you have to get into your car, or could you like bike or walk over to the next park?
Yeah, I'm sure, when it probably first started, that was the intention, more so. Obviously, as the city has grown and there's more roads and everything, it's not as easy to do as it, would have been in the past. There's some of them that definitely are more isolated. So you would need a car to get to them. And especially like the 3 that are really on the exterior, they are like kind of think of it being on the outside of the city and then going through. So really most of them you will nowadays access by a car, but the thought pattern of that interconnectivity is still there.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I was like, wow, is there like, in my head, I was picturing like this little special roadway that I'd never seen in Louisville that connected all these parks. I'm like, how does this work?
Yeah,
But
that would be super cool.
that would be super cool. But that makes sense. I mean, back in the 1800s, there wasn't the infrastructure that is there today. So there probably was more of a parkway system connecting the parks. So
Sure.
that's very cool. Very, very cool. So number 8 is the Louisville Slugger Museum and Factory. And this is where that big Mamba Jamba, 120-foot big bat leans against the building that apparently none of us can pick up because it weighs 68,000 pounds. Kind of bummer. But what else can you do there at the museum, and what else can you see?
Yeah, this is, again, it's a very walkable area. It's in that same Museum Row area. So, you can kind of get to it pretty easily if you're down there already. The history of the place is kind of cool. I actually was reading about it quick before we got together here today. And it started with I think it's about 7 blocks from its location right now is where the original factory was. And it wasn't a bat factory then, it was a woodworking factory. And the father there did all kinds of different woodworking of different types. But his son, Bud, when he was 17, he ended up making a bat, and I got to look at his name, for Pete Browning, who was on one of the Louisville major league teams there at the time. And he was struggling a bit. So the kid made him a bat, and he ended up going and hitting, I think it was like 3 home runs. And he actually was the person who was called the Louisville Slugger.
Oh.
So it kind of all started with that, and with the son, because Dad didn't want to be part of that. He thought bats were crazy. You can't make a living doing that. And so now it's kind of come full circle. They've actually come back now, and their headquarters is in the building we're talking about, the brick building with the bat leaning against it. And you can take tours there and see, the whole process, which is super cool. When you go through, you watch the machines creating everything. And then, even at the end, like all these bats are hanging upside down, and they dip them down into like this wax kind of coating on these handle areas. And so the tour itself is really cool. When you're done, you get a little mini bat of your own, to take home with you, which is fun. And then there's a whole tour section like that you can walk through yourselves.
Okay.
And there's somebody in there showing like how they used to make the bats by hand. So you can actually watch them, going back and forth on the bat, making the shape of it itself. And you can see all these historic bats from Babe Ruth to Joe DiMaggio, Hank Aaron, just all kinds of different things there to see. So it's really, again, if you like baseball or even if you don't, it's kind of it has a neat history, and there's just a lot of cool stuff to see.
I had no idea they'd still made bats there at the museum. I knew it was a museum. I've not been in the museum. The one time we went, I believe, and I was able to potentially go, they were closed for renovation or something. Of course. So I've never been able to go. So I had no idea they were actually still manufacturing the bats right there in the museum there. So
yeah. And what's cool is the fact that they have ended up back there doing the wood bats there, because they had kind of left the area for a bit and gone, I think, to the other side of the river because they switched to aluminum.
Oh, yeah.
And so they were doing a different bat style, but then they decided however many years ago to bring the headquarters area and the museum and then some bat production again back 7 blocks from where they started.
That's cool.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's really neat. Well, number 7 is as Kentucky gets, and that is the Kentucky Derby Museum, which would be incredible to see. And for those of you that maybe don't know this, is that the Kentucky Derby is held in Louisville, Kentucky. So it's kind of a big deal to have the Derby Museum there. So you got to do this. I'm super jealous because I have not done that yet. So walk us through the Derby Museum.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. I had not been to Churchill Downs or, the museum itself. So, and it's a little bit on the edge of town. I think it's in the South Points area. Mm-hmm. So you will need to drive to it. But once you get there, the museum itself is beautiful. They've done a really good job. Like you actually, when you walk into the museum area, you walk through its first electronic gates.
Oh, neat.
So, for the horses. So, I mean, they've really tried to make the experience full immersion, so that you really get that chance. The one thing that is I found it so unbelievably cool was the film that they do. They do a 360-degree film in the round kind of thing. And it's called The Greatest Race. It was the most emotionally packed, exhilarating film I had ever seen.
Really?
I mean, I literally walked out of that place going, oh my gosh, I want to be a horse racer.
Wow, that's so cool.
Was. I would say the film itself was worth my price for the tour. And then the bonus was getting to go into the museum area, and experience, they have a replica of the last winner, their horse, with the roses around its neck. You can stand there next to the horse, have your picture taken. They change it every time there's a new winner. Which is cool. There's a whole section on Secretariat. If you know anything about, horse racing, there's a whole area about that. There's areas about the jockeys and everybody involved, with this whole process. And I don't know a lot about horse racing, and it really is very informative. And I left feeling like I knew a whole lot more about it. And then at the end of the tour, you also get to go out. You don't get to go on the racetrack, but you go out next of it and everything, depending on if there's anything going on, you get to watch it. So it's really it's a really cool spot to go to, especially for somebody like me who knew nothing about racing history.
Oh, that's really cool.
I've got some fun facts over here about the Derby, which is kind of fun. So I want to do some of these. So the amount of food consumed at the Derby is pretty outstanding. This is actually this is townandcountrymagazine.com. Sorry, I thought it was on the Derby site itself, but spectators will eat 142,000 hot dogs, 18,000 barbecue sandwiches, 13,800 pounds of beef, 32,400 jumbo shrimps, 9,000 scallops, 8,000 pounds of potato, 30,000 cookies, and 300,000 strawberries.
During the Derby.
Jeez. Right. Also, there'll be 120,000 mint juleps made and consumed.
Wow.
That's the way they keep the bets flowing.
Right, exactly.
All right, let's see what else. I'll skim through these. Diane Crump was the first woman jockey to ever ride in the Derby. There has yet to be a winning female jockey, but Shelley Riley came the closest in 1992 when she came in second. The Kentucky Derby Trophy only weighed 3.5 pounds. That's about it.
Those are all the fun ones.
Yeah, those are fun. I mean, there's a lot here.
I'm looking over it. Yeah, some of them are like, it's interesting information, but not a fun fact.
Right. You'd have to be a Derby lover to really appreciate some of these. The Derby has never been canceled or postponed due to inclement weather. Only 3-year-old horses are allowed to compete in the Kentucky Derby. The historical 1.25 mile race was originally 1.5 miles before the current distance was established in 1896. Yeah, so the Derby is a large part of the area, and good luck getting tickets to the actual Derby.
We did Thurby, which is on...
The races start Wednesday, I think.
Yes.
And they go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday being the main Kentucky Derby that you think of.
Right.
But if you go on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday...
it gets more and more expensive. So it was people were going Friday, but that got so wildly popular that people started doing Thurby on Thursday. And then that has gotten so wildly popular that now it's kind of pushing people back to Wednesday.
Yeah, they've got a name for the Wednesday.
I forget what Wednesday is, yeah.
Right. But Thursday's definitely Thurby. That was big, but now it's hard to get tickets there.
Yeah. And we did it one time. We went with friends. They had extra tickets, and we did Thurby with them. This is, it's probably been 6-7 years ago now. And it was fun. It was fun as a girl. All us girls had the dresses and the big hats and... and that was so much fun. It was fun to just kind of be in that atmosphere, and I can only imagine Derby Day itself and what that's like.
Yeah, I know I'm going to alienate all my fellow Kentucky residents, but it was nice to check the box to say I did it, but I don't care if I ever do it again. Honestly, I mean, it was fun to do.
It was fun.
We got fully into this experience. I drank a lot. I
drank a lot. We all got dressed up.
We all got dressed up.
We bet. We took home our souvenir cups.
But every year they call us like, do you want to go this year?
We're like,
nope,
no, we're
I'm
good.
I did my one, put it up in the memory, check, we're going to the next thing. But anyway, so if you're in the area and you get an opportunity, definitely do it. We highly recommend it, especially if you're into horses. So
yes, for sure.
Yep.
RVing can bring with it so many great off-grid adventures. Imagine camping in some of the most beautiful parts of our country, surrounded by peace, quiet, and solitude. How can you ensure your trip won't be cut short by lack of battery power when you need it most? Why not replace your old lead-acid batteries for lithium batteries from BattleBorn? BattleBorn batteries are safe, reliable, long-lasting, and lightweight. They are designed to be simple drop-in replacements for your old, outdated lead-acid batteries, lasting up to 10 times longer, charging up to 5 times faster, and giving you 2 to 3 times more power. BattleBorn offers a full product line for all sizes of adventures, making sure you get power when you need it. They offer power solutions for motorized and towable RVs, vans, overlanding, marine, off-grid, and more. Plus, they have a U.S.-based customer service and technical support team, plus a 10-year warranty on their products. So get out to BattleBornBatteries.com today to start shopping for your off-grid power solution with America's trusted off-grid battery brand.
Moving on to number 6.
All right, sporting events. Yeah, and there's a decent amount of different sporting events in the Louisville area, whether it's college or minor league. And okay, this is really sad, Carrie. I didn't know that they now have a soccer team.
Yeah, and they have 2. They have a men's and a women's.
Yeah, I had no idea. So tell us about some of the sporting events there.
Yeah, soccer for me, I say, meaning my family, is a big one. Both my kids played soccer.
Okay.
For us to be able to go to those events has always been a blast. And so when Louisville got their teams, the men's team started in 2015, the women's in 2021. So it's a neat event. The venue is beautiful. The Lynn Family Stadium is a beautifully designed stadium, because when you can sit in these seats, depending on where you're sitting, but when we happened to sit the one time that I went, is you actually had a view of downtown.
Oh, nice.
So it was beautiful to be there. And the teams are good. I mean, they've done very, very well. The men are called the Louisville City FC. Mm-hmm. The women are Racing Louisville FC.
Oh, okay.
So both really fun venues, and they do, all kinds of things to, try and promote the public to get there and stuff. And I believe their attendance has gone up and up and up over the years. So it's a great spot to be. And then, of course, baseball. You have your minor league Louisville Slugger field team that they are for the Cincinnati Reds. So they're a AAA team that there, and they too are a very family friendly event. You go and there's all kinds of fun things to do there, and the location of the stadium too is great. It's right downtown, so I mean you can't miss out. If you're doing other stuff, you just walk a little farther down the street and go to a baseball game.
Nice.
So yeah, which is really cool. And then, of course, like you said, you have the University of Louisville there. So you have any of your NCAA Division I sports if you want to attend any of those. And then, of course, back to the horse racing. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things there to do for sporting events. And then if you're an outdoors person yourself, oh, man, Louisville has all kinds of things to do. I mean, like I said before, with the hiking, mountain biking, all of that kind of stuff. So there is definitely no lack of sporting events or things to do in the area.
Yeah, I got to attend one of the minor league games years and years and years ago, and it was very enjoyable. Like that, it was back when the stadium was newer, had recently been built, and it was just a very kind of intimate atmosphere, and just really, I just remember really, really enjoying it. But I love baseball, and I love baseball games, and I haven't been to a baseball game in years. Who knows when I'll get to go to one, Randy?
Maybe after your horse ride, maybe after your trip to
India,
here and there and there and here and there and there. Maybe then we'll go to a sporting event.
Maybe in one of these travels, we could just go to a game in one of these travels.
You feel sorry for my princess, don't you, Carrie?
Carrie totally does.
Absolutely.
Carrie loves me.
She just struggles.
Struggle is real.
The struggle is real.
And Gus is Carrie, I wish you could see this, because Gus is sitting on my table and his face is like right smack dab in front of the camera.
Yeah, so
he's totally making his debut
our
right now.
Our YouTube fans are going to get to see Gus. That's just creepy.
It is. It's just an eyeball. You just see an eyeball right now. Oh, this cat. Wants nothing to do with us until we're recording a podcast. And then he's like, I love you so much.
Of course.
So let's talk about some treats. You want to get onto the treats?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so lots of yummy, yummy treats in Louisville. And one of these, and I honestly thought it was a typo. I had to Google it. It's not a typo. It's Muth's Candies, because I thought it was Ruth's Candies, but no, it's Muth's. So it's downtown Muth's. Okay, and what the heck are they famous for? I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Well, I think it's a Mojeska.
Mojeska.
That's
Okay.
how you say it, but it literally is a caramel dipped marshmallow.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, they're good. They're very sticky, but no, they were very, very good. So they're famous for those. They have all kinds of other candies, of course, in their spot. But it's just this little tiny place, on the street, and their old sign hanging from the building and stuff. So I mean, just kind of like a little historic spot to stop. You can pick up, of course, any bourbon chocolates about any kind, probably anywhere, but they had those two, which were, of course, delicious.
Oh, yes.
In that same little area, there's a place called the Louisville Cream Ice Cream Shop, and they have bourbon butter cake ice cream.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh, yum. Okay, that was absolutely delicious.
Yes.
So, you can do a treat there. There's another little spot. It's a coffee shop. It's called Please and Thank You, but they're very well known. They were the 2023 Best Cookie Shop by USA Today.
Wow.
Cookies. So yeah, there's a number of spots, that you can pick up treats. But then there's a couple of, shops or other places that you can get great stuff too. There's a place called the Bourbon Barrel Food Shop that I've just fallen in love with. They actually started off making microbrewery, essentially soy sauce. Mm-hmm. And so they have all these specialty gourmet little foods that you can get. And I absolutely love their bourbon smoked black pepper seasoning.
That would be good.
Oh my gosh. I put it on everything. So, there's spots like that with the gourmet type little things there. But then there's also, your restaurants. You're going to go to the Brown Hotel and have your hot brown.
Yes.
You're going to get there. And then we've been to a spot, and mainly the building was super cool, but it's called, I believe you say, Noche Mexican Barbecue. And it's in an old Calvary Lutheran church.
Oh,
cool.
The surroundings were just beautiful and everything. So, I mean, and obviously there's going to be tons of restaurants and all kinds of great places. I mean, Louisville is just jam-packed with them. So I picked out a handful that I thoroughly enjoyed, but I don't think you could go wrong in any of these spots because everything I've tried has been great.
Yeah, I want to at this point bring up two more restaurants. And if you're going to Louisville, one has got to be our favorite steakhouse in the world, and that's Jeff Ruby's. Yep. Jeff Ruby's is out of Cincinnati, but they put a location steakhouse down in Louisville. It's right downtown. They also have one in Nashville, by the way, but expect to spend a lot of money. But it's going to be the best filet or ribeye that you've ever had.
Yeah, and best dining experience. I mean, they wait on you hand and foot.
Right, but it's something to enjoy. Expect to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're going to walk away with two people. If you have a couple drinks, couple steaks, couple sides, you're going to be $300 into the night, maybe more. And so definitely.
So it's super special occasion.
And then the other one I want to mention, this is a lot of fun. There's a restaurant called The Game in Kentucky. And it serves very, very unique things like elk burgers. And I'm pulling up their website here to tell you.
You're on the drink menu. That looks yummy.
Yeah, let me get down to the. Wow, they have
a lot. I think you went.
How about food? Where's your food? Come on.
Yeah, because they had all this different wild
food.
Game.
Here we go. Yeah, so they got roasted bone marrow. They've got Scotch eggs, wild boar chorizo. They got roasted buffalo tongue, duck confit. Confit? Is it a confit? Okay. Confit. Let's see. Meatball safaris. You can get meatballs with kangaroo meat, prime Angus, wild boar, Venice Wagyu, bison, lamb, duck, elk, rabbit, yak.
Yak?
I ate a yak.
I had a yak.
And antelope.
Kangaroo.
You can have kangaroo with greens, tomato jam, cheddar, and pretzel bun. It's like a hamburger. Mm-hmm. You can have an elk burger, a salmon burger, a yak burger. A yak burger comes with green tomatoes, red onions, provolone cheese, curry, on an everything bun. So
we're gonna have to go back because I totally will try kangaroo, yak, because I've never had either of those.
And then you can get my favorite truffle oil on your French fries, which is just heavenly. Very calorically dense, but heavenly.
Heavenly. And we have ate there, right? That's the place where we ate with Mark?
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Yes, that's right.
And it was delicious. It's not, I don't remember it being a huge restaurant. Kind of down
it's kind of
to
hard
earth.
to get in, though. I think you have to have reservations. It's kind of hard to get in because
big.
It's so eclectic and so popular. But it's nothing special about the restaurant. It's a freestanding building, but But yeah, the food. If you want to go have a yak, you can go do it.
Burger,
a yak burger.
Yeah, and I have to say in general, like the Louisville area, the Cincinnati area, ton of great restaurants.
Yep.
Ton of great restaurants. So I mean, like, just I always tell people, eat someplace other than Olive Garden. Save that for when you're at home. But when you're out of town, don't eat at those places.
First of all, if you're eating at Olive Garden in your RVer, someone needs to slap you. I'm sorry.
Right?
I'm sorry. Someone needs to slap you if you're going to these beautiful places and you're eating at Olive Gardens. I get McDonald's like you're crossing the country, you got to swing and get in a bite. I'm not going to make fun of you there, but if you're going to dinner, you come to this beautiful place.
And you're excited about going to Olive Garden instead of XYZ.
If your spouse is sitting next to you in the car, have her smack you if you're the one suggesting Olive.
Honey, we're going to Olive Garden tonight. No, we're not. No, we're not.
Caly and I, that's always been a big part of our travels, whether we're traveling here in the United States or traveling internationally. My favorite part's the food.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you're like that, Carrie, but it's getting the unique food, and it's just so cool, all the different, just experiencing that stuff. So Caly ate a soup bowl of organs in China.
I did have animal intestines and organs. And
it smelled disgusting,
no,
and I wouldn't do it.
It smelled delicious. It smelled
okay, that's right.
delicious.
It looked terrible.
And I ate it, and the texture was very bad, and it almost wanted to come back out, but I was a champ and I ate it.
Here it is 7 years later, and we're still talking about that soup that you ate.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's pretty amazing. But, yeah, a lot of great places in Louisville, 100% as far as eating. I know there's an African restaurant down there that got really high reviews. There's pretty much any kind of restaurant that you could think of in addition to these treats. And I was actually on Moose Candy's website, and I should not have been on there because now I'm wanting bourbon balls and all these other things.
I'm like, I think I might run into town and grab me a chocolate bar.
Right. So now we're going on to number 4.
Number 3.
No, 4.
Oh, I crossed off the wrong one.
Gosh.
What? Okay, number 4. I crossed off the wrong.
You need me to keep control of the show here.
That's just a scary thought. So number 4, we're going the Frazier History Museum and a distillery tour. So for those listening out there, like the Kentucky Bourbon Trail is all around kind of the Louisville, Frankfort, even up in our neck of the woods.
There's 2 sections, south of Louisville and then over in Frankfort. Those are the main ones that you see. There's a couple like small batch bourbon ones and these other things.
Like we have one, Neely Family Distillery is like a hop, skip, and a jump away from us.
Yeah, but that's the smaller one. They're like, we feel left out. And so like, all right, we'll create one for you. But the main bourbon trail is south of Louisville and then over in Frankfort. That's the main bourbon trail when you think of bourbon trail. But
yeah, and so the Frazier History Museum is kind of the official starting point of the bourbon trail. Is that right, Carrie?
Yeah, and what's nice about it is it's down again in that Whiskey Museum Row area, and it's kind of like a visitor center on the lower level when you walk in. And the part of it that is really nice is there are people there that if you do want to do a tour and you are very unfamiliar with the area, they can help you there, plan out a day or however much time and make recommendations and everything. So it's a great starting point for a lot of people just because they have information that can help you. You can also, though, in that same location, actually, they have where you can do a tasting there, learn all the history about the area. So it's kind of a combination kind of place, kind of visitor center / museum. If you go all the way up to the top floor, it actually kind of talks you through the history of the area and why it kind of became a good area for making bourbon, through the demographics of the soil and the land and all of that. And then they have a great display, I believe, of like all the different bourbons made within Kentucky. So that's kind of cool. But then within the museum area itself, there's actually a spot that does talk about those disco balls. You get to learn a little bit about Kentucky. They have a few different exhibits there, a little bit of Lewis and Clark information. Within, there's just all kinds of little areas where you'll pick up bits and pieces of the Kentucky, Louisville area within there. So I think it's a great starting point for a lot of people. And then from there, what's really kind of cool is within walking distance of that building, there are 11 distilleries.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, you can hit a ton. I walked down to the Old Forester Distillery, and that's where I did a tour, which was a really well done tour. It was a really great spot to get. Now, I have to admit, I've done a lot of whiskey and bourbon tours, so I have, kind of a background of at least understanding what I want to learn when I'm there. And I think they've done a really good job in that space. You get to see a lot of the process, their barrel room, but then they also have coopers there. And if you don't know what a cooper is, it's the people who create and make the barrels. And so you get to actually watch them create a barrel, fire one, and everything. So they do a really good distillery tour there. But within that whole area, there's Angel's Envy, Cooper and Kings, Evan Williams, Rabbit Hole. There's just all these different ones, and they're all unique and different in their own way. So I think however many you want to visit, you're not going to get the same experience. So it's definitely a great thing to do, and tour as many as you can especially if you're new to this and want to know more about it. It's a fun adventure.
Yeah, it's in the area here. In the area down there, but can't speak. Anyway, it's a pretty common thing for people locally here that go down there, and they have some of the short buses that you can rent, and they'll take you around all the different tours. You pay the driver, and because by the time you sample all the things, it's becoming an ugly night. Right.
You knew that you would.
So I've never done the one near Louisville. I've done the one near Frankfurt. And I think I talked to you all night. That's when we first started dating.
Yeah, you did. You called me a lot.
One point, I was lost because everybody had left, and I was like, I don't know where I'm at. I was in Louisville in some bar.
Yeah. And he kept calling me. I'm like, how am I supposed to help you find your friends? He's like, I don't know where they went.
So listen, be careful with the bourbon.
Yes.
The bourbon tour. Make sure you have a designated driver, and don't eat at Olive Garden after you're done.
Yeah, and I was trying to pull this up because I wrote about this in issue 11 in the New Orleans article. So this is going to be as accurate as I can remember. So there's a link between New Orleans and Kentucky bourbon, because bourbon before it was brown, was clear, was getting shipped down to New Orleans, and New Orleans would get it, and they would send back to Kentucky and say, hey, can you send us more of this red rum that you guys have? This is great. And Kentucky's like, what are you guys talking about? Because what was happening, Kentucky didn't realize it, is they were shipping it in barrels that had been charred, because they char the inside so they don't leak. And by the time I got to New Orleans, it took on that flavor profile. So then that's how really Kentucky bourbon became Kentucky bourbon, which was really cool.
We heard that story. I remember hearing that story, but we've not been able to confirm that story in writing anywhere.
I corroborated it, I think.
Yeah. No, someone told us that story.
I mean, I'm saying it. I'm just going to go with truth.
Yeah,
it's truth.
yeah. So, but yeah, what they would do is they would take the rafts down. This is back before power engines. They would float them down the Ohio River down through the Mississippi and end up in New Orleans. And then they would break all the rafts apart and then carry all the rafts back up to Kentucky, rebuild them, load them up with bourbon again. Well, at that time it was just clear liquor, and then
clear liquor,
load them down. But see, I heard a different version of that same story, that one of them caught flame and it charred the barrel, and That's what gave it flavor. So again, I think that
Something
there's
in
some truth in there,
Yeah.
but I don't know that that's fully factual. I'm not sure, but
Close enough. We own a diesel pusher, and getting fuel to keep our rig rolling can get expensive, and it's not always possible to fit into a regular gas station for our diesel needs. Years ago, we discovered Open Roads to help with those problems. Open Roads is a diesel discount program that allows up to fill up at thousands of gas stations and truck stops locations nationwide. We can save at the pump at places like TA, Love's, Speedway, and more. We used to have to run back and forth from the pump to inside, getting our credit card pre-authorized and guessing at how much fuel we would need. Now we simply pull in, swipe our Open Roads card at the pump like a credit card, fuel up, and hit the road again. With savings of up to 40 and 50 cents off a gallon, it just makes sense to join. Plus, joining is free and easy. And now Open Roads just got even better by offering an easy option for road and bridge tolls. Instead of keeping track of multiple transponders for different parts of the country, all you need is one. For a low setup fee and annual fee, you'll receive one transponder that works across the nation at all tolls and bridges. Open Roads keeps you rolling with great diesel discounts and an easy toll solution. Go to myopenroads.com and start saving big at the pump today and keep your rig rolling and the open road adventures coming.
But let's talk about Caly Cemetery.
Yes, and okay, I can never say this word. Arboretum? Arboretum?
Moratorium?
Arboretum? What is Arboretum. I look at it and my brain's like, that's not a word.
Actually, yeah, now that she says that, it looks like it's pronounced exactly like that.
Right.
Spelled just like that.
Say it again, Randy.
Arboretum.
Arboretum.
Yeah, Arboretum.
Arboretum. So the Cave Hill Cemetery and Arboretum. And this sounds actually very similar to a really, really large and beautiful cemetery on the west side of Cincinnati, which is Spring Grove Cemetery. So this sounds, the one you're talking about though, just big and beautiful, the beautiful mausoleums. So am I getting that right?
Yeah, and they're called garden cemeteries.
Okay.
They actually have a name. This one was built in 1848 or started.
Oh, wow.
And it again is on the National Register of Historic Places. And it is, as I said, it's not often. I truthfully enjoy going through cemeteries, seeing the history and everything. It's not often I tell other people to do that.
Right.
But this one is unbelievably stunning. I was truly blown away when I went to visit this place. And truthfully, I went to visit it because Muhammad Ali is buried there.
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Yep.
So I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be cool. And then I got in and went, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. So it's a 296 acre area. When it, of course, first started, it was on the edge or exterior of Louisville. Now it's a sanctuary right in the middle of town. But it's just gorgeous to go through. It's like going through an outdoor art exhibit with memorials to people, but then it's the Arboretum because there's a pond and rivers and trees and flowers, and it's absolutely stunning. So it's a place I would go to just because of the memorials and everything, to look at them. They're gorgeous. You'll see, like I said, I went because I knew Muhammad Ali was buried there. So you'll see, the monument to him. Colonel Sanders of Kentucky Fried Chicken is buried there. There's a national cemetery to war veterans. I can't remember how many headstones. I want to say like 6,100.
Wow.
I believe, something like that. The women who composed the Happy Birthday song.
Yeah, I just was reading that. Yes. Patty and Mildred Hill. Patty and Mildred Hill. How do you not know their names? I mean, so famous.
Did you know them, Randy?
Not until I looked on the website.
Exactly.
So, and there's multiple, obviously, bourbon distillers that are buried in the cemetery. But some of the structures are so beautiful. There's one called the Temple of Love, a mausoleum. It's a memorial temple that is just stunning. So it's, again, I don't say go to a cemetery, but go to this cemetery.
Yeah.
It is well worth your time and adventure to go through and see everything.
Yeah, I'm looking online at their pictures, and it looks very kind of the same feel as the Spring Grove Cemetery, which is another just beautiful, like, water features, pond, beautiful trees and landscaping and, the mausoleums. Oh my gosh. I mean, them in themselves, just to go to one of these types of cemeteries and see the mausoleums are just incredible.
Well, and they're really these old not museums, excuse me, these old cemeteries are a photographer's paradise.
Yes.
I mean, you can take some pretty amazing pictures in cemeteries, which sounds morbid, but it's really true. I mean, they're so gorgeous.
Yeah, and again, in these they're called the garden cemeteries there. And these type of cemeteries, because they are just exquisitely beautiful. Just beautiful. I know I talk about Spring Grove because I've not been to the one down in Louisville, but like there's a mausoleum there that looks like a miniature. Oh shoot! What's the Greek building with all the pillars that's super famous?
The Pantheon.
The Parthenon.
Parthenon.
Yes. So there's like
in Rome.
Panthenon's in Rome. the Parthenon in Greece.
Yes.
And it's like this miniature Parthenon, and it sits right next to this beautiful, beautiful pond. And there's always like a white swan in the pond. And it's breathtaking.
Right. We remember when we went out towards Lunken Airport in Cincinnati to the like oldest cemetery. And it had burials from the 16 and 1700s.
Yeah.
And they're weathered and just beat up, and they just take such amazing pictures.
They do.
What amazing. So I always try to do cemeteries whenever we can fit it into the schedule. So.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be right up there apparently with things that I want to do too, which is not going to happen, Randy.
Exactly. So going on to number 2.
Number 2.
Before she keeps talking to me.
Language. So much love. So much love. So number 2 is the Big Four Bridge and Waterfront Park. And am I thinking the Big Four Bridge is the former railroad bridge that they turned into a pedestrian bridge? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So tell us about the bridge and then the park.
Yeah, it's a fun spot to go to visually because the waterfront there, the Ohio River, I love this area when I'm down there because there's bridges everywhere.
Yes.
So to me, it's a beautiful area. I love taking pictures down there, especially at sunset. You see all these different bridges off in the distance with, the sunset through. And then you get to also then from this vantage point, you see downtown Louisville, all the stunning buildings. So it's a beautiful spot to begin with. But yeah, they took this old railroad bridge that over the Ohio River connects Kentucky to Indiana. Woo! And if you actually go across the pedestrian bridge, you go into the little town of Jeffersonville, which is adorable in itself too. Yeah. So it's a great area. The bridge is very well used. I mean, it's for walkers, hikers, cyclists are on there. Pretty sure I don't think you can take your dog across. If I recall that they don't allow dogs on the bridge.
Oh, okay.
But in general, it's a very well-used bridge for, I know a lot of people who do exercise, and that's what the Waterfront Park area is great because it's long. I actually didn't look up the distance of the whole park area, but from the pathway that goes through this park, you actually can go all the way downtown. And then if you reverse yourself, go all the way down the river to another direction where you can see there's a kind of an arboretum down that way too. I think it's actually called the Waterfront Arboretum. So it's a great area. There's all kinds of activities that go on there all the time, especially in the bridge area itself. There's festivals and all kinds of different things, music that occur there. The bridge itself has been well redone. They've made it very user friendly. And then at night it's beautiful because it's lit up. And so. And I don't know if they still do it. I know at one time you actually could send in like a donation and ask for certain colors and things to be done on it. So I'm not sure if they still do that or not, but it's a great spot to go to. Lots of public art throughout the park. There's a Lincoln Memorial to Abraham Lincoln that's within the park there. And then, like you said, even from the park, you can walk down to where those river boats are, the Belle of Louisville, catch a ride there. there. I actually walked all the way down to the Muhammad Ali Museum from there. So it's a fun spot to be, just to chill, hang out with your dog, play with your kids, or, attend an event.
Yeah.
That Waterfront Park, there's a lot of festivals that go on there. What's the Thunder over Louisville, which is the night before the Derby? That's a big festival that goes there. You get to see a lot of the plane. There's a
like an air show.
Air show that goes on before that, fireworks, all that kind of stuff. But also, they have a lot of bands that play there. They'll do festivals where they have 10, 20 different bands that play there. And I've got to go backstage there a couple times and meet some pretty famous people there. And so they really do a really good job there on the waterfront, I think, in using that in such a beautiful setting, set against Louisville, downtown Louisville, and then, of course, the Ohio River there. So
yeah. And interesting facts on the bridge. The bridge itself is about a half-mile long. Each ramp is a quarter-mile long. So if you went across the bridge and back, you're looking at 2 miles. They do this special lighting. It starts from twilight to 1 a.m. And Carrie, they still do the special lighting request. They said, reserve a date, tell us your colors, and we'll do a Big 4 bridge lighting program just for you. So you can do it for a charitable cause or special events. I think that's neat. That's super fun.
A lot of fun.
All right. We are already down to the number one thing to do in Louisville, Kentucky.
250 strands of light. Drum roll, please.
And the number one thing. Wow, we just messed that up, didn't we? I got a little excited.
I'm so excited.
All right, let's try it again.
Okay, ready?
Redo.
Do it again.
Bo, don't edit this out. Keep
I
this
got to
in.
keep it in.
Redo. Here we go.
Okay.
250 strands of light. Drum roll, please.
Go first. And then
And the number one thing to do in Louisville, Kentucky is the Muhammad Ali Center, of course, our number one star of Louisville.
Yes. So I've never been there. You can't miss it when you're driving through downtown Louisville. So tell us about the Muhammad Ali Center.
It is a beautiful 6-story museum to go to. Very easy to get to, right in downtown. And it's a museum, but it's a dedication really to the person that Muhammad Ali was. He was an athlete, of course, but he was a huge humanitarian, really did so many good things throughout the world, really. So it's a great spot to learn about him as the athlete, but then learn about him as the person. I didn't know that he was a poet and a painter. I had no idea.
Wow.
That those are things that he did. So it has a lot of different levels to it. So it's good to grab, the map or talk to somebody at the desk when you check in to see kind of where to go. I believe, if I recall, that I actually started at the top level and worked my way down for the museum. But, Muhammad Ali was from Louisville. His hometown, his childhood home is there and has been fixed up. I don't believe you can tour it, but I think there is a sign, outside of where his childhood home is. And, there's landmarks and all kinds of things around the city dedicated still to him. There's murals everywhere. I saw so many murals that were just spectacular, that were, either him himself or sayings that he had said, things like that. But then the museum is just full of everything. It had his poetry there, some of his artwork. There's a great film that goes through, his history of the person he was to the person he became. And then because of the humanitarian side of things, they really wanted to make this center a place for people to kind of ground themselves and everything too. Ali had 6 core values, and I'm going to look down to read them and make sure I get them all right. So his core values were confidence, conviction, dedication, respect, giving, and spirituality. Cool. And there's a section there where it's actually just an area that kind of has like this dome over it, and there's chairs, and you sit there and contemplate. You get to really stop and think about all of these different things. And then there's like little exhibits that, you kind of go through for that too. So that's really interesting. There's a mock boxing ring if you want to get in there and,
fun.
Strut your stuff.
Your own stuff there. And then there's actually a full-size boxing ring where they actually have like a video kind of his last kind of famous boxing match. So you get to watch that. So there's a lot of different little videos and things that you get to see. And again, it was a history that I didn't know. All I knew about Muhammad Ali is that he was a boxer. So I was really kind of blown away by it. I learned so much, and just his dedication to people.
Right.
He really, he just was a person that wanted, I believe, the world to be good. And so I thoroughly enjoyed. That's why I put it as my number one. I just really, I came away from there with just a feeling that our world could be better.
Oh, that's cool.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
And see, but it doesn't end there. I'm reading the rest of it.
You can't hit what your eyes don't see.
Yeah, see, no one ever says that part.
No one ever says that part.
Nope.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Now, okay, so let's talk about campgrounds and getting around. So first of all, getting around, Louisville's kind of a city for the downtown
area.
part where you can certainly walk around. They do have horse carriage rides. I've done horse carriage ride. They've got, of course, an Uber, but or you can drive your car. I mean, parking's fairly easy on the streets, and I can speak to that because we've been down there many times for dinner and stuff like that. What was your experience, Carrie? Same experience? Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think parking anywhere was ever difficult, getting around. But you do need a vehicle or, like you said, Uber or something, especially, if you want to go out to the Kentucky Derby Museum or any of those things.
Those are a little further out, right? So if you're if you're staying downtown, you might be able to walk to a lot of these because I know the baseball museum, the Louisville Slugger Museum, and the Muhammad Ali are walkable, I think, between the two.
Yes.
And there's also a very cool glass blowing downtown Louisville that we'd recommend too. That I know didn't make the list. We've done that. That was pretty amazing. But so let's talk about campground. So unfortunately, we've ran across this before ourselves. Is there's really not a great option, there directly in Louisville at all, which is common for most big cities. And I should say that this is powered by RV Life Campgrounds. This is a free resource, so get out there and use it. You don't have to subscribe to the Trip Wizard, which I highly recommend you doing. We just planned a 140-day trip out west via Florida from Kentucky. Right. And we use the RV Life Trip Wizard. It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's a great product. I think we do have a discount code. We'll try to put it down in the notes section. But anyway, so you've got to go out a little bit to get some campgrounds. I've sorted these by highest rated. And so the number one in the area, which is Charleston State Park, which is 13 miles away. There's also Riverfront Park Campground, which is 23 miles away. Dream Lake State Recreational Area, which is 14 miles away. Buffalo Trace Park, which is in Palmyra, Indiana, 18 miles away. And then there is a Louisville South KOA, which is in Shepherdsville, which is 15 miles south. So you're going to drive to get into the city. There's probably, let's see, what do we have? 23 campgrounds in the general vicinity of Louisville, and that includes over in Indiana, south of Louisville, east of Louisville, and north of Louisville. So,
And I found that discount code for folks that maybe are listening audio only, and the code is RV Destinations. So if you use that,
25% off.
It doesn't say.
I can't
but
remember.
I think it is 20 or 25%.
Pretty sure it's 25
for RV Life.
Yeah, they're good partners of ours. We do a lot with them. But that kind of wraps up everything with Louisville. We highly recommend it. We can speak very factual about it because it's our backyard, as we said.
It's our backyard. And sadly, we haven't done a lot of the things on the list. So I feel like we should. we should.
It's one of those things like I lived in Florida for a while, and I was 2 miles from the beach. And the whole 8 years I lived in Florida, I went to the beach like 9 times. So it's like when it's in your backyard, you just like, I'll do it another day. It's fine. It's right there. And you don't do these things, and we should get better about that. But that's the way it is. So
because we heard something one time, you should visit your own town like a tourist.
Yep.
So wherever you are, just take a day, just make it into a date. Explore your town like you're a tourist.
Right. We're going to encourage everybody out there that's listening, or whether you're watching here on YouTube. Do that. Find the nearest town and just make a day to go out there and do everything. Pull it up on Trip Wizard and say, what is there to do in this city? And get out there and do everything because it might surprise you.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a top 10 on Cincinnati, which we feel a little bit more connected to Cincinnati because we both grew up near Cincinnati.
And worked in downtown Cincinnati. I lived
So
downtown Cincinnati.
So we're going to do a top 10 on Cincinnati, but we're going to go out and do a lot of things that we've been talking about doing.
Which I think will be fun because there's a lot of really cool things about Cincinnati that people don't know.
Yes.
A lot of history. But anyway, I see you got Carrie Hanrahan's photography page up there.
I do.
What do you got going? Oh, that's beautiful. That's Glacier.
I know. We were just out there.
Glacier.
I'm looking at all these pictures that just automatically pop up in your website, Carrie. And I know I've said this before, but my gosh, girlfriend, you are a ridiculously good photographer. Like, these are beautiful.
Got a great eye.
Yes, yes. So for folks interested to see what I'm seeing, you go out to carriehanrahanphotography.com and you can find all the info about Carrie. So Carrie, what else do you have on your website?
I have some stock photography that I do. I have a blog that I kind of keep up with a little bit, those kind of things. But and say, come check it out and see what I'm up to. My Instagram and Facebook, I always putting things, more so the activities of what I've been doing. A lot of it's for RV destinations or RV life. I do stuff for them too. So it's always an adventure.
Mm-hmm. I know. And you've been writing for us and obviously doing photography as well for us in the magazine for several years and do the podcast with us. And we've always said you are just such an asset and a blessing to us here at RV Destinations. So thank you so much for all that you do and contribute.
What are we up to? Like, we've got essentially about 28 writers, I think, now, but we have a core, about 5 to 7 core writers.
Yeah.
And Carrie Hanrahan's one of those core writers that we try to rotate her stuff as frequently as we can. We only put out 5 issues every year, and so it's really difficult when you have so many writers, but we want to give everybody a shot, but we try to give our core writers as much of an advantage as far as getting into the magazine.
Absolutely. We give them favor, and they deserve it.
Back when we were digital, we could put 30 articles in there, and there was no cost to us, no additional cost to us, but now that we're print, every page costs us money.
It's a little expensive.
So we've got to limit it to about 6-7 articles every issue. But anyway, you ready to take us out?
I think I am. I haven't taken us out in a while. So, Carrie, again, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about the top 10 things to do in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
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 Yeah, actually, Louisville is the proper way.
Louisville. We can go on. There's going to be a whole podcast about how to say these different city names.
Right.
Louisville. But thank you, Carrie. And thank you for being, patient with our goofiness and our antics.
Anytime.
We appreciate it. And I want to thank all of you out there. Thank you for joining us here today, whether you're joining via audio or now on video as I wave to you. Thank you. Be sure to get out there, rate, review, subscribe to the RV Destinations podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button below on YouTube. Subscribe. That way you are notified anytime we release new content, which you really want to know when we're releasing new content because we have a lot of great content to share. Don't forget to get out to our website, rvdestinationsmagazine.com. We have a ton of FREE, free travel resources for you out there. And you should feel super special and get out there and get a subscription to our magazine too, because if you use the code... What?
Just laughing.
I know. Good. Why? Now you've messed up my mojo. I was right in the middle of my...
Podcast 20.
Podcast 20 to save...
20% off
any of our subscriptions.
There you go.
Oh, we did it together. So thank you all out there for joining us. Thank you for listening today.
Be safe.
Safe travels, y'all.